Good evening, everyone here on YouTube. The net will start in about 7 minutes or so here, but just to highlight Women's Month here, wanted to again highlight Limor, founder and CEO of Adafruit Industries. So you may have seen this recently on our Elmers session, but you haven't. If you haven't, we'll go through it here again. It's about 5 minutes here.
Engineering is just saying, I've got a problem, and I've got all these techniques and tools in my head. We're going to solve this problem together. Engineering is making solutions for people. I grew up in Brookline, Massachusetts, which is right outside of Boston. When I was a young girl, actually one of my favorite memories is I would watch Mr. Wizard's World with my dad. But it was awesome. There was, building your own record player.
There's the needle in the amplifier.
Oh, wow. At the time, it was totally okay to set up explosives as long as you called the fire department ahead of time.
Whoa!
I just loved being creative, and I loved science. I loved building things, like taking things apart, understanding how they worked. I was actually having just a lot of fun because I'd been gaining all these skills in building and microcontrollers and LEDs and art and technology. And I'd post these projects online and send them to people and say, hey, here's a cool project I built. In Boston, Cambridge, and MIT, there is a strong open source culture. I was just soaking in this idea of if you are creating new technology, new capabilities, you have to give it away. Otherwise, you're kind of being selfish. So I took that approach, which is called open source software, and applied it to the projects I was building to make open source hardware. I'd post up these projects and I'd get a lot of emails that said, hey, this project is really cool. I want to learn how to build this too, but I have to buy all these parts. Can you just sell me a kit? Something that's an all-in-one box, and when I open it, all the parts are in it, and then I'll be able to follow along. Back and forth. I was taught engineering, but you don't really know how to run a business, how to manage people, how to create a community. I think having started it when I was 25, I just had to prove everyone wrong, and I was just like, I know I can do better than everyone, and I'll show you. Hey everybody, it's me, Lady Ada, and this is our Internet of Things box. Electronics engineering for me is my art form. What I'm trying to do is inspire people to become curious and practice using technology, learn electronics, because I can build that thing that is in my heart and make it real. At Adafruit, we share everything. I share all the plans, the schematics, the design, the files, the code. It's all online, and every week we do show and tell. It's a live video, like Hangout. Anyone with a webcam can show off what they're building. So we have people who do cosplay. We have people who are sewing. We have people who are mixing like clay and metal and glass with electronics to build sculptures. When somebody who glass blows shows, hey, I embedded the electronics in the glass sculpture so it lights up, I'm inspired. I'm like, that's a good idea. What kind of technology would help you achieve your goal? And then we publish that online for free. And that can inspire the next engineer in waiting. The traditional image of engineer is being changed. Right now, the people who are building electronics in my community, they're not what people would traditionally look at as an engineer. And that's good. That means that we're getting more brains, more experience, more people that have new, exciting problems to solve. The most heartfelt moment I've had running Adafruit is we got an email from a parent, and he'd been watching the show and tell with his young daughter. The daughter turned to him and said, wow, this is so cool. Can boys be engineers too? And it was really inspiring because it's like, one down.
This is K1 DBC, the DRC Learning Net. Will start in 1 minute. All stations, please stand by. Hello and welcome back to the Denver Radio Club Learning Net for March 8th, 2023. It's a great place to learn about ham radio and STEM topics in general, and thankfully we have plenty of combined experience and expertise. This is Kilo 1 Delta Bravo Charlie. My name is Daron, Delta Oscar Romeo Oscar November, and I am this evening's net control. Last week we spoke about balloons with amateur radio payloads. Balloons that dealt with Whisper, WSPR. We talked about QRP kits, a couple of different QRP kits that are pretty cheap and easy to get into. We talked about 2-meter and single sideband. We also talked about options for learning CW, also known as Morse code. Tonight we'll be taking your comments, questions, and updates. And later on in the net, we'll be discussing anything else in the news or anything else that the group wants to speak about. We meet every Wednesday except the third Wednesday of the month, 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time on 145.490 and 448.625. You can contact us via email if you'd like, elmer@w0tx.org, and on most social media at Denver Radio Club. We also stream and archive our nets on youtube.com/Denver Radio Club. So if you'd like to see behind the net, scenes of the net or visual context, that is an additional way to view the net. This net can be broken at any time for emergency or priority traffic by using the word break. Is there any emergency or priority traffic at this time? All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Keep in mind that our repeater controller has been recently changed, upgraded. But net mode essentially has been removed, so there is a timeout, and the PL tone is required. So if you've been able to reach the nets before, you won't have any issue reaching it tonight, but there is about a 5-minute timeout, so just do to keep that in mind. So all check-ins to the net will be taken in alphabetical groups based on the first letter of the operator's call sign. That is the first letter after the number in the call sign. If you can, please try to use ITU phonetics for the call sign, and indicate if you have any traffic or questions as you do. If your suffix begins with the letters A through M, Alpha through Mike, please check in now.
This is November 1, Golf Uniform Mike, Peter Littleton.
Kilo Foxtrot 0,
Alpha Whiskey Charlie, Brian, Centennial, no traffic.
All right, this is Daron, K1DBC Net Control. Might be a quiet night, not no problem though. That time though, Net Control would like to welcome and acknowledge the following check-ins: N1GUM Peter and KF0AWC Brian. Thank you both so much for checking in. All right, once more at the moment, this is K1DBC. If your call suffix begins with the letters A through M, Alpha through Mike, please check in now.
Whiskey Alpha 4, Mike, Bravo Golf, Bob and Aurora.
WD0CIB, WD0CIB, Charleston, Denver, no traffic.
Kilo Foxtrot 0, Foxtrot Papa India, Ron in Lakewood, no traffic.
All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Hold up there for just a moment. That time we had WA4 MVG Bob, WD0CIV Charles, and KF0 FPI Ron. Thank you all so much for checking in. Once more, if you'd like to check in, we're taking, let's go ahead and up the whole alphabet. This is the Denver Radio Club Learning Net, great place to learn about ham radio STEM topics in general, and we have a lot of experience and expertise. So we're taking all call signs, all call suffixes, call now with your call sign, your name, and let us know if you have any traffic or questions. If you'd like to check in, A through Z, please call now.
November 0, Echo Yankee Zulu, Jim in South Jeffco, no traffic at this time.
Kilo Echo 0, Sierra Uniform Mike, Jonathan, Lakewood, with question.
November 4, November Yankee X-Ray, Sarah in Arvada with no traffic.
Alpha Echo 0, Sierra Foxtrot, Steve in Denver, no traffic. Kilo Romeo 0, Tango Echo Alpha, Arvada, no traffic. November 0, Tango Romeo Papa, Jim in Lakewood. Good evening. I'm the one that doubled with Jonathan.
Perfect. Thanks there, Jim. All right, thanks there, Jim. I don't have a main camera set up, but more or less a studio cam tonight, so we'll hit this view a couple times maybe. So let's see how this net goes. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Hold up there for just a moment. That time we had N0EYZ Jim, KE0SUM Jonathan with a question. There was a double in there, but thanks for the follow-up, Jim. N0TRP Jim as well. We had N4NYX Sarah. Great to hear you in there. And AE0SF Steve. And KR0TEA Terry. Thank you all so much for checking in. Anyone else, any call sign corrections or any other check-ins at the moment, please call now. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control.
W0TX Repeater.
All right, again, welcome everyone. Good evening to the Denver Radio Club Learning Net, a great place to learn about ham radio STEM topics, and we have plenty of combined experience and expertise. This is K1DBC, Daron. I'll be your net control this evening. Again, just to recap what we spoke about last week, was there was some news about a radio or a balloon being shot down, and we kind of spoke about the amateur radio payloads on that, and that led it to Whisper, WSPR, Weak Signal Propagation Reporter. We talked about QRP kits. There was a couple of kits people were building. It looks like the Easy SWR meter, and then Easy TR switch. So if you want to use a software-defined radio and a regular radio at the same time, this is a pretty cool option for $20 or so. Pretty cool and nice soldering opportunity there. We talked about 2 meter and single sideband. There's a couple of nets that operate over a single sideband 2 meters, so check those out. VHF Plus Net and beamspinners.net. What else? And people are talking about trying to learn CW, so we talked about CW ops and the straight key group. So yeah, a lot of great stuff last week. Again, we're on a lot of social media. A thing we don't really push enough is our Discord. Discord is just a chat room. So if you enjoy what we talk about on these learning nets, this is just kind of an extension throughout the rest of the week. So you'll meet a lot of members you've spoken to. So w0tx.org/Discord. I was just looking at a post. They were talking about single sideband and on 2 meters on February 6th, so about a month ago. So they had us on the gun there. So really cool stuff there. So yeah, so check that out. With that though, once more at the moment, any other check-ins just yet, please call now. Okay, with that, this is Daron, K1DBC. There'll be official check-ins throughout the net, but you're more than happy to check in at any given time. If there's nobody speaking, you're more than happy to jump in and toss a check-in there. Again, you can check in online on YouTube if you want, or youtube.com or w0tx.org/check-in. There's a form in there. With that, I see that SUM Jonathan had a question, so I'll throw it over to Jonathan. KE0SUM Jonathan, the net is yours.
Good evening, Daron, and everyone else. So, I have an inquiring mind. So I wondered if we could do a quick survey from everyone on tonight as to, I was cleaning my shack earlier today and realized I had 6 HCs, handy talkies. And I was curious, I was kind of survey the group, how many handy talkies do you have and how many do you need? I thought about this and I could get rid of 3 of them, but I still have 6. If you don't mind, if we could do this survey. KE0SUM, back to net.
All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Yeah, I should probably set something up on our website to allow for a quick poll or something like this. There used to be some polling sites, but I don't know them at the moment. But I guess if anybody wants to go around the room, I have 2 handhelds, 1 DMR and 1 analog. I probably don't need the analog anyone since the DMR one does analog as well. So yeah, what's the purpose and need for handhelds? You don't see too much HF on them, so I have two, but probably only need one. So if anybody else wants to chime in on that topic, go right ahead.
This N0EYZ Jim. I've got one HT, a tri-band Yaesu. That's all I need.
All right, this is Daron, K1DBC. All right, yeah. I'll try to set something up maybe for something in the future like this. But yeah, so far, it looks like you're kind of an outlier there, maybe, or I have some outlier numbers there, Jonathan, K0SUM with 6 HTs. But yeah, 1 HT, tri-band Yaesu there, and then for myself, a 1 DMR, 1 analog. So yeah, kind of. Yeah, I'll throw it back to you or anyone else on the amount of handhelds you have, or anything else on that. Go ahead.
Well, Drone, as you know, I do transmitter hunting, the fox hunts. So a reason I need extra HTs is in the car. Okay, we'll start with you can have an HT and an antenna on top because we talk on a regular band, and then we're hunting on another band. So that's one HT, unless you use your car radio, but I don't have one in. So then you need another HT with a stock rubber ducky stuck in your cup holder, always on frequency. So as you're driving, if it happens to get really loud, you're closer to the Fox. And then the third HT is, well, I have a tape measure Yagi antenna, and that's what I use to initially find the hidden transmitter. KE0SUM. Back to that.
All right, this is K1 DVC Net Control. All right, yeah, absolutely. That makes a lot more sense. And yeah, over on my favorite website is the rtl-sdr.com. They have this 5-channel coherent radio direction finding thing, Kraken SDR. We've spoken about $400. You may want to check into that. It might remove some of the things you need, but yeah, no, it's definitely it makes a lot of sense. As you mentioned, one for HT and antenna for mobile purposes, for your vehicle, one for to be on frequency of the beacon, and then another one, tape measure Yagi for the initial finding. So yeah, really cool stuff there. Yeah, amateur radio direction finding, fox hunting. It's really cool stuff there. So yeah, I'll throw it to Jonathan or anyone else. I'll try to maybe talk about this pass phase coherence SDR if anybody wants to hear on that in just a moment.
Well, Drone, you got up on the net here, but the Kraken SRI, just a Doppler, it looks like to me.
Gotcha. This is Daron, K1 DBC Net Control. Yeah, I may not know exactly what this is. I guess I'll just read up on this here real quick. This is K1 DBC Net Control.
I'll have to look at this also, but normally Doppler's 4 antennas, and that looks like it has 5. KE0SUM.
N4NYX, comment?
W0TX repeater.
All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Thanks for comment on that. Yeah, and N4NYX, I'll throw it back to you here in just a second. So yeah, it just makes use of 5 software-defined radios that you can get for $20 a piece or so. It basically just tracks down the signal a lot quicker. Maybe I'm not. Maybe this doesn't take care of all the other purposes for all the other radios, though. So who knows? Yeah, use what you can. So this is just another pretty cool piece of kit here. Kraken SDR. So I'll throw it over to N4NYX. Sarah, go right ahead.
Was going to say with the SDR direction finding that I know that some of those direction finding units use the phase difference between 2 different received antennas to try to narrow down a heading that a signal is coming from. So that's a different way than Doppler, I believe, to figure that out. I was also going to throw into the mix, when it comes to handhelds, I have 3 in popular rotation and at least another 3 hanging around the shack somewhere. Hi. So at least 6 to not make it such an outlier. Hi. We'll toss that back out to Net Control in the group. This is N4NYX.
All right, sounds good there, N4NYX. This is Daron K1DBC. Yeah, really cool stuff here on the Kraken SDR for amateur radio direction finding. It may be a bit different than what we're used to seeing. It's a newer technology, so really cool stuff there. So yeah, if you're into direction finding or what was the other things here? They mentioned locating lost ships, physically locating an unknown transmitter, tracking assets, wildlife, locating EPIRBs, emergency beacons, beamforming. So this definitely kind of steps into the territory of EMCOM and emergency communications. So really cool stuff there. So yeah, and as you mentioned there, 3 HTs not in rotation at the moment, and another 3 possibly in rotation. So yeah, I guess not an outlier there. So yeah, cool stuff there. So yeah, these are some of these are a dime a dozen. The HTs that we buy, $20-$30. Nothing too bad, but some of them, yeah, a couple $100 here or there, and Yaesu or C4FM or DMR Brandmeister or something like that may weigh why you buy something like that. So yeah, good information here so far.
Comment, S.t.e.m.
All right, S.t.e.m, I'll get to you here in just a second. There's a couple comments here on our YouTube I missed here. Robert Pickett, K0RP, mentioned he has 6 HTs as well, 2 Bofang, 1 Kenwood for D-Star, 1 DMR for Anytone, 1 Yaesu for C4FM, and GMRS. Sometimes we don't often talk about GMRS, but a pretty big community there, and something definitely overlaps with us as well. And then we also had Peter Igley. I think that was N1GUM, I believe. I suppose it depends. He has 1 FT70D occasionally while he's on the trail. So yeah, it looks like it's a pretty good mix here. I'll throw it over to S.t.e.m. Jonathan with a follow-up. Go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to emphasize, I'm not sure I had my general when I got into transmitter hunting, but it's so inexpensive. I built the tape measure Yagi, and that worked and performed well, and I had an inexpensive radio. Baofangs don't work so well because their S meters just so small. So it's inexpensive, and you don't even have to be a tech to play. But I found it interesting because usually at the end of the game, everybody stays around, and you get to meet so many people. So I'm just kind of re-emphasizing it's very inexpensive to get into. You can go deeper down that rabbit hole, which I have, but it's still an awfully fun game. K0SUM, back to net.
All right, sounds good. This is Daron, Net Control K1DBC. That's still not. What is the guy's name? This is K1DBC Net Control. I can't find the exact QRZ, but get a hold of Jonathan if you're interested. Like he mentioned, you don't need to be a ham radio operator to be involved in these fox hunting contests, and these kind of prepare people for. It's fun in general, but it also prepares for, as we talked about, emergency communication support. So that could get them involved with a MCOM group, still unlicensed. So there's a lot of things people can do within our community without having a license. So, yeah, really, really cool stuff there. Yeah, KE0SUM, look them up on QRZ. And there's they host a fairly frequent radio direction finding fox hunt here in the Denver metro area.
Well, Drone, I'll close with everyone should look up how to build a tape measure antenna. I built mine in 30 minutes after I gathered up a few things on a Saturday afternoon. You've built a directional Yagi, and generally you can also check the SWR. You can transmit on this. I use mine for hunting, but if you check the SWR, I have made contacts just pointing this antenna out. A lot of SOTA people will do that also, but it's just a great ham experience because you buy a tape measure from Harbor Freight, you get some PVC, you need a soldering iron and some coax down to your radio. It's just so easy to do, and you feel like you've accomplished something. At least I did. KE0SUM, back to it.
All right, KE0SUM, Jonathan, this is Net Control, K1DBC. Yeah, this hobby is quite about experimentation, so, you know, it doesn't beat just going down to a hardware store and buying some parts and being able to be a part of, to build a Yagi antenna. It's pretty cool stuff there. It's not a deep dive on electrical engineering, but it's a really cool introduction into a lot of cool aspects of the hobby, building and experimentation and testing and troubleshooting, and then eventually using it. So yeah, really, really cool stuff there. And yeah, it's really awesome to the tape measure, you know, comes in super handy with the measurements on it. So I'm just looking at a video here by KB9 VBR, a tape measure Yagi beam antenna. So plenty of resources online nowadays, but yeah, as mentioned, you go buy a tape measure, some PVC, some pretty cheap parts, and you know, Bob's your uncle. So there you go, pretty cool stuff.
Hey, I caught him on HF a while back.
KB9 VBR, or my Uncle Bob?
VBR, or yeah, in Wisconsin, of course. But yeah, I was just tuning around, and he was doing POTA like you, or SOTA or POTA, and yeah, I happened to catch him. I thought that was fun.
Cool stuff there. Yeah, only joking. Yeah, KB9 VBR. Yeah, pretty interesting stuff there. Looks like he has. Oh, wow. So this is. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, check his YouTube out. He's got a lot of stuff there, and yeah, really cool stuff here.
W0TX repeater.
All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. It's about 8 p.m. Mountain Time. We usually operate for another 30 minutes for this net, but there is no hard stop. I guess I'll take this opportunity to take any further check-ins, I guess, if you're welcome to the Denver Radio Club Learning Net. Greatly put on by the Denver Radio Club. Our website, w0tx.org. A lot more info there. a lot of cool meetings and a lot of cool stuff we got going on. So check that out. This net is to talk about ham radio and STEM topics in general, and we have a lot of combined experience and expertise. My name is Daron. My call sign is K1DBC. This evening we've been talking about HTs. How many people? How many HTs you got? Let's see. We got amateur radio direction finding. We talked about some other things here. So I'll throw it out. Anyone else, if you'd like to check into the Denver Radio Club Learning Net, please call with your call sign, your name, and let us know if you have any traffic or questions. Please call now.
Kilo Zero Golf Papa Alpha Bob in Lakewood. Yeah, I've been listening. I was just taking a controller apart. Anyway, I have about 3 or 4 handhelds. One of them doesn't work very good anymore. Well, the antenna jack is broke, and one of them is kind of out of date. But anyway, I just thought I'd check in. I was listening all the time. K0 GPA.
Question.
All right, K0 GPA. This is K1 DBC Net Control. I got you checked in. Sounds good with the control or the. It sounds yeah. We'd love to hear more about the controller upgrade or whatever you're doing there. Pretty cool stuff there, and yeah, and, interesting stuff to hear on the HTs. It sounds like unfortunately a couple of them may kick the bucket here at some point, but you know who knows. So yeah, really cool stuff there. But it sounds like s.t.e.m. Jonathan had a question. Go right ahead.
Well, hey, Bob, since you do bicycle mobile, ATV mobile, and, of course, mobile, you don't use HTs for any of that. You've just decided on a smaller radio that you're going to use? KE0SUM.
I've been using HT on my bicycle because it doesn't draw as much current, and I have a Yaesu 817 I was using, but that draws like, what is it, 400 milliamps? So kind of draws quite a bit of current for a mobile, unless you have a good-sized battery. And I have ATV. I have what is the Yaesu 7250? Has a nice front-facing speaker, so that works good.
So, okay, I've copied all that so far. It's like you do use an HT either on your bike, is that right?
Correct, on my bike, and sometimes I'll use it on the ATV, and when I forget the radio, I usually carry an HT with me, usually the FT2DR. That has digital on it, too.
You answered the question. I was wondering about which radio. KE0SUM back to net. Good to hear you, Bob.
All right, sounds good. This is K1 DBC Net Control. All right, yeah. So yeah, FT2DR looks like it sports your regular 2 meter 70 centimeter, but then as well the C4 FM System Fusion digital. So yeah, whatever is your flavor, whether it be a DMR Brandmeister or C4 FM System Fusion or YSF. Yeah, there might be an HT out there for you or for a specific need. So yeah, appreciate the follow up on that.
More thing, that FT2DR also does APRS. I turn that on a couple times. I'd let somebody find me that way. Worked pretty good. K0 GPA.
All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Yeah, pretty good function there. APRS packet reporting system. So pretty cool stuff there. I was just trying to look you up there on aprs.fi. You can always check people out there and find their call sign and see where they've been going and whatnot. So pretty cool stuff.
Comment, s.t.e.m.
This is K1DBC. I'm sure APRS is incredibly helpful. Jim or Jonathan, I did get you in there. I'll come back to you in a second. But we supported a recent bicycle ride, bicycle event last year. Struggling to find the name, but I'm sure maybe a lot of those groups track a lot of the personnel through that as well. So I'll throw it over to s.t.e.m. Jonathan. Go right ahead.
Well, I think Yaesu did two things really smart. APRS is incredibly popular for people who buy radios. And, of course, Yaesu a number of years ago basically gave away a whole lot of repeaters, so they worked the market, whereas ICOM only has D-Star. So APRS is kind of the way to go. I love it. I own Yaesu radios, and I've used it. KE0 s.t.e.m. back to net.
All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. All right, I think you may have been meaning to say either System Fusion or C4FM there in the digital variant in terms of Yaesu giving away repeaters. So that would definitely be an incentive for people to use them. I was trying to find here on Repeater Book how to find repeaters countrywide amateur radio. But I don't know what is the most popular, maybe countrywide, but at least maybe potentially here in Colorado, we're seeing a little bit more DMR repeaters than D-Star or System Fusion. But as mentioned, with all the Sky-Hub link and things like that, we're seeing a lot of intertwining of a lot of repeaters. So I'll throw it out. Anyone on that Yaesu System Fusion, C4FM, DMR, Brandmeister, popularity, anything you want to bring up on that? Please let us know.
W0TX repeater.
TRP.
Yeah, N0TRP. Go right ahead.
This N0TRP, just with all the talk about the HTs, I kind of dug one out of the box. Your old Yaesu VX5R, took off the rubber duck, hooked it up to the mobile ground plane antenna on the gutter, and just wonder how you're hearing me.
All right, I appreciate that. Really taking that to heart. Really awesome. VX5R hooked up to that antenna. Yeah, we're hearing you loud and clear. Not a problem.
Okay, great. Thank you. N0TRP, back to net.
All right, pretty unique one there as well. Triple band bands you don't, well, one band you don't normally see in HT's 6 meters, so that's pretty cool stuff there. So sounding just fine. So we're seeing some of these more obscure bands less and less in our HTs, but we're seeing more HTs out there. So what's necessarily gonna get you out there, and what grabs your attention? So this is K1DBC, just as a kind of a futurism type scenario here. I'm going to drop for a moment. This is K1DBC. As we're seeing with our consumer electronics, USB-C or USB in general, touchscreen, we've seen some touchscreen stuff. Maybe Bluetooth, some wireless programming would be awesome to see in the future. maybe different bands. As mentioned, this VX5R has 6 meter in it. There's also the 220 megahertz band. I forget what that is. Maybe it is 1.25 meter band. Would be awesome to see. Yeah, and maybe higher wattage. So yeah, a lot of cool opportunities out there. Hopefully in the future, and hopefully our overlords will understand and hear us, and hopefully our amateur radio market kind of goes after those modern day conveniences. So this is K1DBC Net Control. I'll throw it out to anyone else at the moment. Any other comments, questions, check-ins, anything else for this evening's net so far? Please call now. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. I did get you checked in there, Jim, as well. Appreciate that. Some other features would be awesome to see would be some of the software-defined radio, kind of waterfall, as you expect, kind of on a computer would be kind of nice to see. And single sideband, I don't know what it takes to build that into an HT, but as we mentioned, there's some pretty good experimentation going on with single sideband on 2 meters and 70 centimeters. So, yeah, these are a lot of features that we'd love to see, and maybe this is the reason why people have so many different HTs, because these are just different features that you maybe won't find in one. So maybe software-defined SDR transceiver is the future, but how do we get that in a handheld format? So this is K1DBC Net Control. I'll throw it out to the group. Anyone else at the moment? Any other comments, questions, check-ins? Please call now. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Again, I brought up earlier in the net our Discord server. If you like the conversation we're hearing this evening or on any other learning net, and you'd like to continue on that conversation throughout the week, please check out our Discord, w0tx.org/Discord, DICORD. I'm showing it up on screen here if you're watching our YouTube. Essentially, it's just a chat room. So a lot of the members you've spoken to over the nets here, or you've met in meetings, they are doing a lot of cool stuff here. So yeah, they're meeting up if you like to meet up for different events, some soda or a POTA or different things like that. They're doing that, so check that out. Yeah, this is just another way for us to communicate with our own members. So with that, I don't know if it's set for sure, but I think the upcoming meeting next week, let me drop for a moment. I don't know if it's confirmed for sure, but again, next week is our in-person, or not, excuse me, not in-person, our monthly meeting. W0tx.org will be updated here very soon. I think it's on the Young Amateurs Radio Club. They do a lot of their interactions online as well. They have 530 people on their Discord right now. So one of their members, Sterling N0SSC, you may have heard of, and yes, I think Mark Strahan, I don't have his call sign at the moment, but I think that may be the presentation next month. So their Youth Amateur Radio Club provides an opportunity for you to connect with other young amateur radio operators around the globe. They attempt to run different events and encourage operators to work together. Have questions, need help, just ask away. Over 150 daily active users willing to assist. So yarc.world for more info on them.
Question, SUM.
Yeah, KE0SUM, Jonathan, with a question. Go ahead.
As I always sit and think, so the question to the group is, have you used ham sticks, shark sticks, etc.? I use them quite a lot because they're so easy. I use a tri-mag mount on top of the car, and do the different bands. Once they're tuned in, they seem to work well, and I've had great contacts. Just curious if anybody else had done those, and I guess you can set them up as a dipole, but I've never tried that. KE0SUM, back to it.
All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Yeah, I'm not too sure on that. Yeah, I'll throw it out to the group. Anyone have any further comments or questions on that that question there? Go right ahead. All right, this is K1 DBC. Yeah, I don't know if you want to pose that question once more, Jonathan. Let us know. K0SM, go right ahead.
No, I was just wondering how many people now were on HF, because ham sticks are a fairly common, easy way to get on with HF. And they make 10-meter ones, so a technician can do them also. But I don't know. Does it really have mic fright? So, yeah, I use the ham sticks a lot. They're easy to change. They make quick disconnects and etc. Very portable. And usually those I tend to use with a mag mount. When the weather's nicer, I generally will go out to the park and set up a vertical or a Wilford coil. KE0SUM, back to net.
GPA.
Gotcha that time. All right, GP, I'll throw it back to you here in just a second. Yeah, so it looks like maybe the MFJ variants of the ham sticks. Yeah, so different bands, fairly cheap to get into, and yeah, just a standard whip antenna, but you can throw quite a lot of power at them. It looks like so quite different from QRP, but yeah, I'm not too sure on that. So I'll throw it over to GPA. Go right ahead.
W0TX repeater.
K0 GPA. Yeah, I've been using ham sticks for a lot of years. I've worked mobile. I got a 706 Mark II-G in my pickup, and I do the quick disconnect on mine. I got a bracket mount on the back and tune them, and they work real good. I worked quite a few countries with them, Hawaii, all over the place. So they're cheap antenna and they work.
Well, Bob, I have both the short and the long ones. Which one do you use?
On 20, I think it's a long one, and I think 15 is a long one too. Then 10, I was using a CB whip, a CB 102-inch whip, and then I switch it to I think there's 6 foot, and then you cut a couple windings out of the top, and it'll resonate on 10 meters.
But you never played with the short ones? I have the short ones, but I have yet to really play with them very much to see how they work. I've been using the long ones, which I, like you, find very nice. I've done both coasts.
I find the long ones work better. I do have some 4-footers for 10 meters, but the longer ones work a little better. I forgot. I think they make one that's 6 foot or something, or 8 foot. I forgot what it is.
All right, this is Daron, K1 DBC Net Control. All right. Again, another great opportunity to get into HF. You don't necessarily need a really long wire, end-fed half wave. I mean, you can operate HF using a ham stick like this. So yeah, it's something you can put up on a mag mount or your vehicle, or kind of mount it not too terribly somehow out in the field. So yeah, really cool stuff here. There was another check-in and comment online about HT count. I apologize, I missed this a little bit ago. KE0RLQ Michelle mentioned that they had an FT70D HT. Let's see what they mentioned here. They got the required bullfang when started as well, but then yeah, upgraded to the FT70D or DR variant here. So dual band C4 FM. It looks like digital is what's there. So really cool stuff there. Okay, this is K1DBC Net Control. All right, we have another 10 minutes or so. There's no hard stop to the end of the net, but we usually run till 8:30 p.m. Mountain Time. I'll throw it out to the group. Anyone else at the moment? Any other comments, questions, check-ins, anything else you'd like to bring up? We've talked about quite a lot so far this evening. It looks like kind of in the poll here, a few people have, 5 to 6 HTs, and a few people have 1 to 2, and a few people have 1 or so. So yeah, probably everyone has the requisite Bofang, probably for $20 you got there, and then probably 1 additional one maybe for a better use case. So probably at least 2 for the moment, I guess. Jonathan, to answer your question, it's a small set pool of responses here, but I guess in this little small poll here, yeah, just probably on average 2, 3 maybe, and then 5, 6 for some others.
Well, I think that's probably a good average or a pick, because this is my newest hobby in the last 5 years. So when I get into a hobby, I tend to really get into it. I've had a lot of hobbies. I won't tell you all of them, but so yeah, I go kind of more all in. So I realized I needed other HTs for certain things, as I mentioned, but then once the general, everything changes when you start working some HF, but and then you start thinking about QRP, and I don't know where I was going with that, Jerome, but yeah, ham radio is such an interesting hobby. You can go a lot of ways with it. KE0SUM.
No problem. This is K1DBC. Yeah, relatively compared to some other hobbies, if you will, aviation or marine, buying an airplane, buying a boat, those are very, very expensive in comparison. So yeah, some of the numbers we may see in buying in some of the newer radios is a little heartbreaking here, but in comparison to some other hobbies that we could be interested in, yeah. So in terms of hobbies that are least expensive and really provide, I think, quite a lot, I think this is ham radio. You can go quite far with it and not spend too much, and yeah, so you can spend as little or as much as you want, but you can do probably the same thing with a cheap radio as you can with a more expensive radio. So it just depends on your use cases and things like that. So this is K1DBC Net Control. Yeah, a lot of opportunity out there. We talked about some of the QRP kits. One of the mentions last week, which was a pretty cool mention, was the TR switch for $20. So this basically is the let me drop here for a moment. This is, you can buy something similar from MFJ for around $140, or you can build it for yourself for $20. So there's a lot of availability out there. This just allows to use a software-defined radio and automatically switch when you're transmitting with a transceiver. So you can basically, with one antenna, you can feed a cheap $20 SDR receiver plugged into your computer and have a nice waterfall, as well as at the same time have the transceiver transmitting and receiving. So for $20, and as well as you learn a little bit of soldering as well. So learn the hobby, and really cool stuff here. So this is K1DBC Net Control. I'll throw it out to the group. Anyone else? Any other comments, questions, check-ins? Please call now.
I have a comment if nobody else's. It does. S.t.e.m.
No problem. S.t.e.m. Jonathan, go right ahead.
The Denver Radio Club's a very old, maybe the oldest radio club, and it has a lot of members. But I remember when I was getting my technician license, and then I think ARRL sent me something, and I was reading a magazine of theirs, and it's like, well, why won't anybody talk to me? I thought that was interesting. And they explained how you should just, call, give your call sign and things. But I think what's interesting is I sell a lot of handhelds and other radios, but I never hear these people. So I don't know where they went. Well, you and I are pretty well known, our call signs, but I don't know. I wonder how many people just listen. KE0SUM.
W0TX repeater.
KE0SUM, Jonathan. This is K1DBC Net Control. Yeah, that's a pretty deep topic to talk about. Is why don't we see too much participation, considering we're one of the oldest clubs in the area, and we have a lot of members. And yeah, there's probably a lot of people listening right now, just listening, kind of passively listening, and taking in what they can here and there. And in the year of 2023, this hobby, people, I don't think the average person really understands the hobby. I think what's something that's brought this into forefront is the recent balloon incident of the Air Force shooting down a balloon with ham radio equipment on it. But our club, it kind of there's a demographic that kind of skews towards one end of the spectrum a little bit, and it's kind of I think I don't know. I don't know why we don't have more volunteers, why we don't have more people checking into our nets. But, in this day and age where we have YouTube and we have a lot more conveniences, people maybe start checking in just at different options there at what they can. So, yeah, I think there's definitely a lot of people listening and a lot of community members behind us. We may just not see it or hear it at the moment, but do know that there's a lot of people out there who are behind our club and want to be a part of this. And I think one day we'll find a better hold into getting more of them involved here. So this is K1DBC Net Control. There's a lot more we can talk about this, but I'll throw it over to Jonathan or anyone else on that. Go right ahead.
Tron, you're much more pessimistic than I. I mean, the club's, I think, financially sound and everything's going well, but I look at it like, more people know us and our call signs. And I got into the hobby. I told you this because I wanted to talk to people. And then, of course, after the tech, it's like, wait, I want to talk around the world. So I look at talking on VHF with you on Wednesdays. I know there are so many people with radios. Someday they might say hi. KE0SUM.
All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. All right. Yeah, no, I know there's people out there definitely wanting to be a part of the club, and it's just there might be a sea change that requires that. But yeah, again, I mean, um, I know we talk about our chat room, and we don't see too many participants in that, but that's another great way to um, kind of speak with our members. Again, our Discord, w0tx.org/Discord. There's a lot of people on this net tonight that have checked in that. And in previous nets that are on that. So, you know, that's just another supplemental way to get into ingratiated with our members here. So, yeah, I'm sure with our digital repeaters we can see exactly our usage, but with our analog repeaters we may not be able to see that exactly. But just listening to it, we often don't hear too much on it. Yeah, as we've talked in the past, you know, put your call sign, your name out there, you know, if you want to have a conversation, if you have a question. There are people listening, so if you are listening here and you haven't checked in, or if you ever want to, definitely let us know, because we don't bite, and we're just here to try to answer any questions that you got. So, yeah, appreciate that question, KE0SUM.
Well, I think that's where we all want to publicize everybody else's repeater in nets. I think nets are the best thing for new hams. So, Denver Radio Club, you're on Wednesday night, 7:30 to 8:30. If you back up on Tuesday night, you have Rob on the 145, which is the TechNet Club. Move back to Monday, and I believe that is Rocky Mountain Radio League. I think Sunday is the Denver Radio Club. So you can get in on all these nets. And some of those are just check-in nets. You can say hi, but this net and Rob's net, there are a number where you can go in. Everybody will answer your question if you can. So I really believe new people should check into nets. Just say hi. KE0SUM, back to net.
KE0SUM, Jonathan. This is K1DBC Net Control. That is a good suggestion. A fairly structured environment. If we get semi-structured environment, this net is fairly loosely structured. Yeah, there are some nets that are just purely check-in, but yeah, as mentioned, yeah, check out net listings from our webpage, w0tx.org/netlist, and a lot of other local clubs have their net listings as well. Plenty of nets throughout the week. A little bit more structured, and you can kind of listen in and see how the nets are run, and you can kind of understand how it works. So yeah, depending on your interest, whether it be emergency communications, there's an astronomy net, Society of Broadcast Engineers. We have our ARL Colorado section net hosted by Amanda Alden, K1DDN, our Colorado section manager, Mondays at 7:30 p.m. So there is a lot of nets out there depending on your interests. So yeah, check them out.
It'll make you more comfortable when you, if you're just a tech now, when you're a general, when you go to HF, it'll make you more comfortable because you'll understand the forum. KE0-ish.
Yep, exactly. Yep, some people don't necessarily want to rag chew, but they also just don't. They want to communicate with other people. They want to have a conversation, but around maybe topics they're interested in. So yeah, it gives you kind of a better understanding of how nets are run and it's structured and formatted. So yeah, appreciate that, Jonathan. KE0SUM. This is a K1DBC Net Control. We're pretty much at the end of our net, but I'll throw it out to the group. I'll take final calls here in just a few minutes, but any other comments, questions, check-ins, anything else for this evening's net, please call now. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. K0 GPA. Bob, go right ahead.
That's something. It's not radio, but what was it, yesterday? I think it was yesterday. I was out getting ready to go to the gym, and all of a sudden I had heard all these noise in that way up in the air. And I looked up, and there's a whole flock of those, I think they call them sandhill cranes, they're circling around, and they're gaining altitude. I've seen them do that before. It's pretty neat. You'll hear them cluck, and they make a funny sound. Once you hear it, you never forget it. But yeah, it was pretty neat. They started circling in a big circle, and that kept going up and up and up, and then they head north into Nebraska. I think Jonathan probably knows a lot about cranes. He lived in Iowa, somewhere close by there. They go in the Platte River Valley there.
W0TX repeater.
All right, very, very cool. This is K1 DBC Net Control. All right, yeah. Hopefully their flock aren't too affected by aviation flu here going on. These would be nicer to see rather than the crows I'm having to see in here. But yeah, pretty cool. Sandhill cranes, very cool.
Looked them up on the internet, and it said there's like 500,000 of them that make that trip every year. I've seen them in. I went through Nebraska one year and seen a whole bunch of them up there. They're pretty neat to watch.
Very cool. This is K1 DBC Net Control. Yeah, as we've spoken about, as you're out and about, either playing radio or living life, you know, just enjoy the sights and scenery around you as much as you can. So, and the wildlife. So, this is K1 DBC Net Control. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. This will be the second to last call. Any other comments, questions, check-ins, anything else for this evening's net? Please call now.
Doubles.
Sorry, doubled over. Somebody, was there someone else calling in there?
K0 s.t.e.m. Let me see if I have it.
S.t.e.m, go right ahead.
Oh, I was looking over the list of check-ins, which is always fun, but I could have sworn I heard Miranda, but I don't see her on your list. And I might see her call sign. K0 s.t.e.m.
I think that was Sarah.
Oh, that could be Sarah. I'm sorry, Sarah. Good to hear you. K0 s.t.e.m. Mystery solved.
All right, sounds good. No problem. This is K1 DBC Net Control. All right, this is K1 DBC. As a teaser for the end of the net, I will play a video. I will play the audio as well over the repeater. I did play this video last week, but it's a pretty good motivational speech by Jerry Ellsworth, AI6TK, and a good highlight on women in engineering, female in engineering. So I'll play that after our net, but check out you can still hear that over the repeater. But with that, this will be the final call. The final call. Any last minute comments, questions, check-ins for the net, please call now. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. All right, again, appreciate everyone checking into the net here. Appreciate checking things on YouTube. Check out our website, w0tx.org. We really appreciate the Denver Radio Club for allowing us to use their repeaters for this net. Next week is going to be our meeting, so yet to be announced, but March 15th, w0tx.org. Information will be updated there. 6 p.m. for an Elmers session, so if you enjoyed this sort of meeting here tonight, that's basically what that is. And then there'll be our meeting at 7 p.m. So w0tx.org. Tonight we had a total of 15 people that checked in. Really do appreciate that. So with that, yeah, I will play some audio over the repeater here. This is from AI6TK, Jerry Ellsworth, giving a fairly good speech at Pacificon. So it's just a couple of minutes, so if you want to stick around for that, you're more than happy to. But this is K1DBC Net Control. I really do appreciate everyone checking in here. Yeah, 7-3 to all, and we'll talk next week. All right, let's see if we can do this. All right, this is K1DBC. I'm going to drop and play some audio here and potentially drop for a minute just to avoid the timer.
Forever, I will have a warm, fuzzy spot in my heart.
KE0XM QSY 14573.
And I've been learning a lot about ham radio in the last several years as well, and I think it's really neat, and it's really humbling to think on my gosh, I didn't want to get emotional. All of the Elmers that helped me out when I was a kid, they're silent keys now. They don't even realize, they never realized that they set in motion me being a ham 20 years later, right? And I think about that a lot, like what we can all do as ham radio operators, kind of giving that nudge to the youth and our friends, and that it plants the seeds, and someday that they'll be ham radio operators or engineers. You know, what can happen with my YouTube channel, like some random kid might stumble onto it and see something that inspires them. So I think in closing, I think you're not always going to see the fruits of your efforts, but it's so worth it, trust me. I could have never been, an engineer. I could have never worked on rockets. Could have never been a prankster on the phone. Without, guidance from ham radio operators and other mentors along the way. So, with that, I think I'm going to wrap it up.
All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Hopefully that provides some help there and some guidance. But yeah, it's ham radio is a lot more than we expect. So this is K1DBC Net Control. Again, 7-3. I am clear, and we'll talk next week. Okay, everyone, have a good evening. Maybe I can bring up some real quick end video here to watch real quick. Spy vs. Spy. Have a good evening.